After getting arrested in Mexico and getting mixed in with the Mexican mafia, my friends and family drove to Deming, New Mexico, where I spent a few days exploring. The time was well spent, as the town I otherwise wouldn't have seen opened itself up to me.
I'm trying to get a job.
Put it up. Oh yeah.
No,
We got in a crash, okay? We got in a crash. She does not beat women, okay? We got in a crash.
We didn't beat her.
Yeah, we got in a crash. It served as a bit of intermission, as for the past month I'd been doing nothing but traveling and moving on from one thing to the next. I gotta record my brand new Camaro. Ooh. Let's just push to start, right?
And up.
Yeah. Ooh. Fancy. Oh.
That's that one.
No, that was you.
No, they didn't.
That was you. I went to a popular man-made lake chocked full of ducks and a pretty great view of the sunset.
Get in the frame.
A fun little fact about Deming that I learned from a book instead of a Walgreens that I read is that each year there is this thing called the Great American Duck Race, where every August, people of all ages and sizes grab a duck and race them. There are other events like the royalty pageant and an outhouse race. They'll be celebrating their 46th year consecutively, and I've been meaning to go and experience it for myself at least once. While I was out there, I figured I'd pick up a shirt from Walmart as I'd lost my luggage during the trip. I paused my game to begin. Pause my game. I suppose the $7,000 of debt was a small price to pay in the grand scheme of things. Probably not, though I indulged in the finer things in life for dinner to distract myself from my financial woes. I made some hamburger sauce in a very janky way. Whatever you do, don't ask about the secret ingredient. That one's not as happy as this one's happy. That one meant so much. Soon enough, though, I had to hit the road once again as I made my way back home.
Is what the Supreme Court emphatically deciding one way or the other. Can the Trump administration use this authority at all? And if so, what exact process does it have to provide before it does so? That's going to be the real thing to look for in the days and weeks to come.
Just to put things into perspective, in 1 month, I'd driven from New Mexico to Sonora twice, ensuring I stopped in Arizona both times, during which I also made a trip to Arizona from New Mexico without going to Sonora. On this trip, I'd made a detour through Tucson, Arizona up to Deming, New Mexico, where I then drove to Albuquerque and then Rio Rancho. Altogether, I drove roughly 2,144 miles. And that's actually a low ball, since that doesn't even account for any exploring I'd done in either of those places. Pardon my French, but I was pretty fucking tired of traveling, as you could expect. It was at this point I'd made a promise to myself never to get into trouble again, and I'd gone straight. I went to family gatherings, I walked Comet, I spent time with my parents. I'd even gotten a chance to finish editing a video where I recorded my month. But one thing kept calling out to me. Then this sexy hunk of metal reared its head. It was love at first sight. I'd even begun daydreaming about all the time we'd spend with one another.
Hello? Hello?
The devil's got my soul. Life that I'm forced to live makes me lose control. Time keeps passing by. I feel it day by day, day by day. Wings off of those who fly. I heard someone say, "Are you listening?"
Yeah.
But it didn't belong to me, so I left it alone.
Always on the wing, yeah.
Alas, months had gone by and I was due for a haircut. Clearly upset, doubly by my new dreads, it was time to search for something else to annoy. And there it was. Some of you may remember that in my super long ass video where I recorded my month, this car made an appearance or two while I was outside, grilling or what have you. It's been sitting back there for about 5 years by this point, and my dad and I had been meaning to get it up and running again. My dad met a friend from work named Alejandro who happened to work on these types of classics as a hobby, so we got to work. Essentially, the fuel line had gotten plugged since the car had been exposed to the elements for several years, meaning that the fuel sat for a while and gunked up. All we had to do was siphon the bad fuel using an electric pump into an empty jerry can, and then refuel the tank with fresh, clean gas, and repeat the process several times until we felt it was cleansed. One other thing I should mention is that while I was out in Mexico getting into an accident and whatnot, I also thought it would be a really funny idea if while we flipped over, I'd also lose my car keys, which just so happened to have the keys to the Bel Air on them. This meant that future me would have to deal with this issue later and hotwire the car using a screwdriver every time I wanted to start the car. Amazing. Now eventually we did forge a key from a locksmith to both our Tahoe and our Bel Air, but for a while we did have to use this jury rigging quick fix. In the end, the Bel Air had the last laugh as it immediately roared to life, as if it was driven yesterday. 70 years have passed this car by, and yet General Motors really knew what they were doing, as the chassis, motor, and interior have all aged like fine wine. Now that the car was operational, it was just a matter of driving it. This was the hard part, as you can tell. We'd also discovered that the choke was causing some power cutting issues with the motor since it's summertime, and that we also needed some gear oil desperately for the rear diff. I think it's a good time to mention that I've never driven a manual car before. I've also never driven 3 on the tree, or column shift as it's more commonly known. Most people may instead be familiar with the floor-mounted shifters or stick shift. This is almost nothing like that. There's almost no direction as to what gear you're in except for the shrinkage of your face when you accidentally start grinding your gears. Generally, I feel like I'm a pretty good driver. I think it's safe to say that anybody that's been in the car with me knows how much I value people's safety, and how naturally aware I am of my surroundings. Now my friend Jonathan will tell you that one time in junior year of high school, over in the Chevron, I did not have either of those things. But look, that was the only fender bender I'd been in behind the wheel. Every other time, I was the passenger. Unfortunately, as with most things in life, something had gotten in the way of this project. Alejandro, who had been our guide throughout this entire process, was beaten at gunpoint and was in the hospital for a bit. While everything was put on pause, I began the job search. I mentioned it during the video where I recorded my month, but I'd been unemployed for a couple of months, which allowed me to focus on college and travel freely. I would also keep busy with things I truly enjoyed doing. Eventually though, I blew through my savings, so I had to work once again, and I wanted to make it a meaningful experience. My pride just wouldn't allow me to become an underwater ceramic technician. Not that there's anything wrong with it, I'm just saying that it's something I've never considered personally. Since we're on the topic of the dreaded job application, I wanted to make a brief intermission to talk about how hard it is to find work. Like, how is it that you're making a job posting for an entry-level position, but then you're also requiring experience? You expect me to believe that going to college for a minimum of 4 years in some cases is worth $16 an hour? Like, come on. I would have thought that I'd need an art degree or a degree in education to make that kind of money. In any case, I have a job now, and it's something I really enjoy doing, even if the 12-hour shifts are a bit of a slog. It's all about the experience at the end of the day, since I only work to pay for my bills or to help my family if they ask for money. Not to mention, my coworkers are probably the most supportive, funny, and experienced people I could ask to share a floor with. Not to mention, words can't possibly describe the feeling of being awake before the rest of the world and driving on empty roads, staring at the Vitalis-colored sky that stretches as far as the eye can see. Some days, though, were particularly tough, as my job essentially is to build rapport with people who are experiencing the worst day of their life and offer them resources so that they don't take their life. To decompress, I'd find myself coming to a botanical garden dedicated to veterans, sometimes for hours just so I could clear my head of all the noise. Getting back on track, my summer picked up where spring left off, as I would visit Arizona and Mexico from time to time, sweat my ass off, and then go back home. We also got our Escalade up and running. This might actually come as a surprise to most of my friends, but we'd had an Escalade for about 6 years, and about 5 of them were spent sitting in our backyard after we made a trip to California from New Mexico. Eventually, we remembered it existed again, and so we began doing general maintenance on it. We'd also been doing a home project. For the real ones that watched the entirety of the video where I recorded my month, I mentioned that my room was under construction where 2 rooms were being turned into a master bedroom. It had been half a year in the making, but I can report to you all now that I'm no longer sleeping in the living room on a twin-size mattress. I actually have a bed now, and a floor, and a door. I made some additions to make it my own, like a couple turntables and this sick-ass audio system, which I found in the garage, which belonged to my dad. Apparently, it had been in storage for over 20 years, and it was probably the coolest thing ever to hear a recording of my dad and my sister when she was just 9 years old over the microphone of one of the cassettes back when my dad used to DJ. Each month, I try to learn a new skill. I've learned how to swim, make basic jewelry, write poetry, and trick shot using bottle caps, just to name a few. But this month was all about music. I wanted to make my own CD and eventually my own cassette. Spoiler alert, I did. As a matter of fact, I'd even sent out a CD as a birthday present just to help workshop the process, since my parents were interested in me creating some for them as well. Clearly, someone else was enjoying it as much as I was.
God, give it to me.
After a month of being cooped up in the house all day, it was time to hit the road again, and this time I wasn't going alone. Both my parents, my sister, her son, my uncle, and my grandma would be meeting us in our house in Mexico. It'd be like the good old days when all my worries were about my grades or whether Jonathan was able to have a play date after elementary school.
Say hi. Say hi. We're not going anywhere.
No, there's a train over there.
going on, Ginger Dude? It's your boy. It's your boy, Tiger the Kitten.
What are you doing?
She walked away while her shoes were untied and the eyes were all red. You could see that we'd cried, and I watched and I waited till she was inside, forcing a smile.
Night nurse. Yeah. You can't even see you. You're too short. You could be all over here.
There you go, man. Oh, your little friend. I love your little friend. Over there.
She said, do me a favor and stop flattering.
I got your knee. You want some? Okay. No, the other way. No, wait.
Face full of nose.
Right there. Here we go.
Grab
You
it.
see it now?
This way. You see everybody?
Hi.
Let's go outside. Let's see what they're doing outside. Over here. You wanna go record them?
Yes. Let's go. I didn't.
Wait. You got your finger in the shot.
Gotcha.
Oh, there we go. Hey, but you're blocking it.
It's okay, you can tell her he doesn't know what these are.
Obviously, he does know.
After eating some delicious food, the gang and I walked around the seawall. It felt like a return to form, as a couple of years ago I'd made a video seeing these exact same sights. And it was during a time I felt genuinely happy to be making a silly story out of a few random clips taken on my
It's
Android.
Piccolo. It's not Goku.
Or what's his name?
Kid Buu. Look, there's a hermit in it.
My mom and I had a good time sunbathing and collecting seashells, and even met this cool little worm dude. After scaring my mom by telling her it was a brain-eating worm, I did some further research and found that it's actually a green paddleworm, and they're genuinely harmless so long as you don't step on one. We decided to go on a cruise, and I wanted to mention that Puerto Peñasco is a place that I've gone to for as long as I can remember. I have fond memories going with family and friends, some of which aren't with us anymore. Every time I come back, it reminds me of them, and it keeps the memory alive. And it's a tradition I'd like to pass down to my children whenever I have them. After dancing the night away, 8 margaritas in, I would wake up and with the help of my mom, we'd clean the house before getting ready to go back to Arizona, where I'd spend time with a familiar face I haven't seen in over half a year. The volume doesn't work. You already lost, see?
Hello? I think I know why this.
It's broken. Oh, wait.
Oh my god, it works!
Oh. Nice. The stupid tag is in the way. Oh. After goofing off, I got some rest and made my way back to Rio Rancho. It was back to business. As if nothing changed, I went back to work, began cooking again, and started walking Thomas, who for a time we were considering getting a sibling for, but ultimately it hadn't worked out. I then went to my first concert in a while. It was really nice, but after getting tired of people blocking my view, I decided to stand up. During intermission, my parents and I took a picture with Joey Quinones, who is one of the lead singers in his group The Sinceres, which blend new generation artists with older Chicano soul and R&B songwriting and instrumentation. After the show, I even managed to stack a couple of signatures on some vinyl that my dad bought me, which was super cool. A couple of days later, Alejandro had called my dad and the two of them set up a day where they would show me how to actually drive the Bel Air. But first, some general maintenance was in order, like for instance the gear oil, motor oil, and coolant. Three days of practice had led up to this moment, and I feel like it might be one of the best days of my life. I can proudly say that I learned how to drive a manual car on a 1954 Chevy Bel Air, and that I had a good summer. I hope that the fall and winter treat me just as well.
You have it in reverse? There we go.